South Africa woke up this morning to hear of the passing of King Goodwill Zwelithini. He was 72 years old and one of the longest reigning monarchs. For more reaction on the story, I'm joined by Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs Minister Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma. Minister, a very good morning to you. Thank you so much for your time. We heard your name being mentioned by Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi this morning as he listed the number of tributes and condolences which have been streaming into the royal house since the king's passing. What was your immediate reaction when you heard of the news?
I was shocked, but also sad and worried, because he has been a long reigning monarch, so we can't even quite remember well the time without him. So many people would only remember the kingdom led by him. So it was really shocking and sad, especially because we thought he was getting better. We knew he wasn't well, but at some stage we thought he was getting better. So it was quite a shock.
He's been described as a leader, a giant when it comes to preserving culture, history of South Africans and also the Zulu nation. What do you think in terms of his significance and his leadership? What does he leave behind as a legacy?
I think they are correct. He has revived the culture, especially those cultures that are helpful to the nation, especially when you look at how he's tried to link some of the cultural activities to health, to prevention of disease like HIV, and also, in a way, when he speaks to young people, he tries to instill the values of Ubuntu, of our nation, so that when they grow up with those values. He was a big activist in terms of HIV prevention. So, and of course, he is also very forthright. He was very forthright. He spoke his mind. But I think he will be remembered as a very proud African, a very proud Zulu King who made sure that he participated in issues that affected not only the Zulus, but that affected the nation as a whole. He was also a pleasant human being. One of the things that I remember is at a wedding, one of his daughters is married to my nephew. So he was a very pleasant, even after the wedding, he's human. He was, yeah.
And what do you believe that, he sort of leaves now behind when it comes to the lessons? I mean, you've spoken about his great love for activism, but when it comes to instilling a sense of pride among AmaZulu as well as South Africans, especially looking at the younger generations and his cultural role that he played and what he leaves behind?
Yes, I think he does leave, starting with the Zulus. I think he does leave Zulus proud of being Zulus, proud of being Africans, and proud of their culture, and not only that, of their history, because it's very important for all of us as a nation to know our history to know where we come from, and to learn lessons from that history. And so I think it's not only for the Zulus, even for the nation. Even that's why there was such a big discussion in the country about getting history in the curriculum, because it's important for history. So I think he, in a way, was a trailblazer there in making sure that the history, at least of the Zulus, is known, and the culture, and I think it's something we must learn from him and teach the history of our nation, teach the history of our people, including women's history.
Okay, we appear to have lost Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma there, as she spoke and conveyed her heartfelt condolences to the passing of Zulu King Goodwill Zwelithini, of course, speaking about the sort of legacy he leaves behind, making sure that Zulus are proud of their culture and their tradition and their heritage and their history, and, of course, just speaking about the kind of leadership that King Goodwill Zwelithini embodied, speaking about how she recalls him as a pleasant person who was really human. Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, you were still speaking about the sort of role that King Goodwill Zwelithini plays, and I'd like to take you back to 2017 when the ANC Women's League visited the palace of King Goodwill Zwelithini to introduce you as their candidate for the ANC's presidency position. What do you recall about that moment as the processes were getting underway and you were meeting and interacting with King Goodwill Zwelithini?
It was a very nice interaction, and he has respect for us as an organization, as the Women's League, and myself. So it was a very nice interaction, and he even gave me a car, and so yeah, we talked quite a bit about various things. So yeah, it was a nice. It's a time I'll remember very fondly.
You also speak about how, this time, you say that you sad and worried at the same time, especially because he was in his position for a period spanning close to 5 decades. Where do you believe that this now leaves the Zulu Kingdom and whoever needs to step into this position?
Well, I think the royal family, with Umntwana still guiding them, I think we will, of course, get a new king, but that new king will have to step in. Of course, we are losing experience from him, continuity and experience, but I hope that whoever comes in will also play their part. But of course, it is a big loss because he had accumulated so much experience. I do hope that he was also imparting it to the royal family and to the younger generation. But also, I was just worried because recently we've lost a few of the kings and Amakhosi. Of course, they are part of the nation, and what befalls the nation also affects them. But yeah, it is worrying that we're losing that kind of experience, and we hope that we can learn from their own legacies and be able to move on. And at Cooperative, we are sad, as I say, because we were also interacting with him, not just as the king of the Zulus, but also as part of our Cooperative family. And the discussions that we have about even the programs that Cooperative and the country were embarking on, we were discussing with him even about the district development model. Of course, he's very keen on agriculture. He was very keen on agriculture. He was very keen on cattle breeding, but he also felt very deeply the burden of poverty amongst his people. He would never finish an interaction with him without him talking about how to really try and get our people out of poverty, how people must also go back to growing food, to keeping chickens, and not relying only on buying things from the shops.
Very well. Thank you so much for your time, Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma. Minister Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma is talking to us and recalling the memories of a giant which has just fallen.